Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard really control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back.
Lights are bright on Friday night. Fall in small
Week
Texas
7 of the
town.
football season. District
train like
starting.
moths
We're getting
to
close to the
flame, and there ain't
playoffs, and we're here to talk
nobody
about it. Hello,
around.
everybody. Terry Bennett, Greg Goodwin here. Sideline to Sideline, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus, right here on L4 Media. As we're getting to that point where you and I are getting antsy for the playoffs. And it's funny to say that because we got a month of
Just
season left.
starting district in a lot of places, right?
But that's just, I think that's, it's not like we don't like non-district. In fact, I would contend that maybe this year, if we could remember any other non-district season in the 17 years we've done this, but this feels like one of the better non-district seasons.
Oh, yeah, man. Really good non-district.
Just great with
slates, right?
Yeah, just great matchups, great upsets, great everything. But in saying that, after about 5 weeks of non-district, I'm starting to get ready for district, but then you start realizing that outside of a few districts in each division, a lot of these districts are going to be walkovers.
Yes.
And that's why we have great non-district schedules, because all these teams have realized it's better to be 14 and, or 13 and 3, or even 12 and 4 and win a state championship instead of being an 11 and 1 with a pretty record, but you weren't battle tested enough.
See Gunner in Class 3A, see Franklin in Class 3A. They've both done the same thing.
Yep.
They've scheduled
Sunray.
heavy hitters.
Sunray's done it, but they're just winning.
Yeah, Sunrise is doing it. Man,
We got a email, but I'll put that up because they emailed. Well, I know why they emailed my email. It's because they listened to one of the other shows, but they basically were like, wow, so this has just became the Sunray show of the week. And I'm like, I mean, when you're good and you beat multiple good teams, and beat them convincingly, you're going to get talked about a lot here on Sideline to Sideline.
Hey,
this is
our show. We can talk what one talk, and we might even move the whole show to Sunray, Texas next year, right?
Hey, that would not be too
is
bad.
Mondo he's graduating though, so maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but remember we heard that the young quarterback might be eventually just as good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, they've got a big one coming up in a couple of weeks with Panhandle. We'll of course be talking about that. But this is what
there's a good chance we'll be at that game, by the way.
Yep. And I don't know what I was going to say on that. It's been a weird week.
I'm hanging on your every word. Yeah, just tell me.
I've been under the weather, and it's one of those we were joking about it. As we get older.
But you have an eye infection?
Dude,
myself?
You have this man.
Because I never change my contacts. I will wear one pair of contacts for 7 months without ever taking them out. This time, I actually put the new contacts in before I left yesterday morning at 5 a.m., but I guess I didn't put it in correctly, and it fell on the floor before I walked out of my bedroom.
Yeah.
So I picked it up and went back and put it in my hand, put the solution
Did everything
in it,
right.
and I guess I didn't get something off. I think it actually scraped my
Scraped,
eyeball.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is eyeball talk with Grant Goodwin.
Well, I've got to say this. I've known you now 17 years. I think you and I.
You've been keeping up with my eye problems.
Well, no, hang on.
You've documented every
I
one
think
of
a
them.
lot of the things.
Is that what's in that book right there?
This isn't Dave Campbell. It's
Eye
Grant
problem.
Goodwin eye problems.
2005.
Well, hang on. Let me say this. So I think in those 17 years, you and I can both say that we have both matured from where we were with some of the decisions we made back then.
Yes.
But one of the things you still haven't ever grown out of is your eyes. Like you will be like, oh yeah, I've had this contact in for 18 months and it's a 3-month prescription, but hang on. And I'll hear as you have to take it off.
I threw one out on the way to the bushling.
I
had a toothache and this eye was killing me. So I took it out, threw it out the window and didn't put a new one in. I had only contact in for like 3 weeks because I don't want to have to go. I don't know why. I'll go to every doctor appointment, every dentist appointment,
but not eyes.
But an eye doctor, I want a 6-month thing of contacts to last like 4 years.
And it's weird because the eye doctor is like the easiest of the doctors.
They blow that stuff in your eye, dude. I don't like that.
That's a 2-second thing,
right?
You just
2 seconds
so
of
in
agony.
The last
waiting for it is actually 5 seconds. It's about to blow my eye, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and then it hits you, and then you're like, I'm done with that for 5 years.
And you just the other day scheduled your 7th colonoscopy in the last 6 months.
That was a prostate exam. The guy from Gen Ned has really big fingers.
It's really weird too because he's just a dentist.
I know it's weird, but the hygienist there is really good looking. So
it's him
when
too.
He's doing that.
Oh, you're letting him give you the drug.
It's like a movie I used to watch on Cinemax on loop.
I had to watch it on the Spice Channel through the garbled.
Yeah,
wait, is that a boob
right.
or not? Anyway, this is what we do here on 2A. No, what we do on 2A is we review the week before and we preview the week that is. So let's jump into it. I'll start. Now, this wasn't an unexpected win by any stretch, but Beckville continued what they're doing offensively, putting 65 points on Big Sandy, beating them 65-34.
And Big Sandy kind of entered this game with one loss, I think, right?
Solid team. I don't know how competitive they'll be outside outside the district in the playoffs.
Right. But the records were pretty.
Yeah, the records were pretty. And, Big Sandy, even when they're bad, and they've had a rough stretch the last few years, they're usually, again, I know it's generic, but they usually have some athletes. They usually have some speed and stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it just continues what we've talked about all year long with Beckville. How many times do you see it when a loaded team loses a lot, and especially when you have a guy like Jacoby Williams, and this is nothing against this dude, but then the next year is when everything connects.
Right.
Brock and 4A. Brock, any other program going up a class with as little, they lost their whole offensive line, which, by the way, is most of Brock's defensive line last year. They lost, 3 defensive studs. We're talking about a 3A Division I team that lost 4 Division I players. Yet they're better in 4A Division II this year. But as their coach says, these guys, everybody forgot about. These guys are the ones in the workouts getting angry and we're seeing it with Beckville. Jordan Price, once again, 307 yards, 7 touchdowns.
What a dominant performance.
And he's been doing it all year.
Jordan Price has got to put his name in for MVP, a player of the year for Class 2A, right?
I think he is. He's been multiple times on the Dave Campbell's vote for the player of the week. I think this is his 4th time to be on there. And it's seriously, if Beckville, and look, we've talked about this with this region, the injuries of Honeygrove, Cooper and Timpson obviously being down.
Beckville might be your favorite in this region now, right?
It's getting to be.
Favorite.
It's getting to be that way. Now we got
the way they're playing right now, look, big plays against Big Sandy. Tyson Oden, 61 yards receiving on 3 catches. Kenyon Lusk, 89 yards receiving on just 3 catches, right? This is a big play
20,
offense.
20 yards and 40 yards per on each one of those.
That's crazy. And the defense is playing really well. They're a really well-rounded team, right? They don't just rely on Jacoby
No.
like they did last year,
I agree.
right? Might not just be a heavy region favorite when you look at Beckville, but maybe a state finalist.
No, I totally agree with you. And now we'll be talking about them. They have what could be a possible road bump game this week, but still, Beckville goes to 6-0, 3-0 in that. That's right. They're going to be playing their 4th district game in the second week of October. That's how big that district is. I don't know if that might be kind of more enjoyable as a fan. I know it's frustrating because, it's a long slog of a district, but man, you want to talk about every game counts and, every game counts, but then also you can lose one in this big of a district and still be in perfect good playoff seeding.
Right.
But anyway.
But I think if Beckville shows up every night with their A game, they don't have a problem.
No, I totally
agree. Not in the district. All right, how about Mark 30, Chilton 7? Mark got out to a 22-0 lead in the first quarter and then kind of lost their focus. I mean, Coach Hoffman said, they lost their focus. Discipline on both sides of the ball was down. Coach Hoffman actually pulled DeMontrell Medlock from the game, the quarterback from the game. I don't know if it was because of focus or what, but when he pulled him, he was 8 of 16 for 186 yards passing.
Yeah.
And for a 1A quarterback to do that.
Yeah. 2A.
Or 2A quarterback. Yeah, it
still throws me. I kind of wish if they go to 7A, they would just call 6-man. Let's just get what it is. Yeah, that's been kind of Mart's deal this year. They
probably getting bored.
Well, yeah,
to be honest with you.
Well, that's a good point.
Every year, man.
Well, and a good job by Hoffman because this happened against Bremond 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were up like 20-6 on Bremond, and it became a 28-22 game. And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, but I think Bremond had the ball with a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter. And so you take the bye week and you think, okay, that's when you clean things up. You let things slide through the season as a coach. If you have a bye week, because you go, okay, we'll clean it up then. I don't want to take the time out of prep for this week. And every coach that I interview now, what do you do bye week? Fundamentals. But then you come out of the bye week and you kind of do the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. That's got to be frustrating. And you have to wonder, though, is that a flaw in this? Every team that doesn't win state has a killer flaw. And is that the flaw for Mart? They play with their food too much in the second half.
It could be boredom.
But I mean, how hard that is to turn it on,
focus,
though.
Right?
Yeah, but you say it could be boredom, and it might be, but only
that can't happen in the second round of the playoffs.
Only the special teams in any, whether it be professional, college, or high school, only the really, really special teams can turn it on and off. The 94 through 95 Cowboys could do that, but even then, it caught them in one of the title games. But we'll just have to keep watching that. Stratford outlast Childress in a 2A 3A matchup, 21-14. Bryce Braden, the Air Force commit, ran for 137 yards. I love the wording here. I am reading this like it's 1983, and I love that. 137 yards on 19 keepers. He also threw for 72 yards. Oh, by the way, he also blocked a punt, and he had 14 tackles on them. Look, I'm just going to say this right now. Vote how you want. I don't even know if he's on the board, but when a player can do all that in one game, that's your player of the week right there.
Yeah. Well, do you do that, right? Bryce Braden, or do you do Beckville's Jordan Price?
Man, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, when you're doing it on both sides of the ball like that, maybe you get a little bit of a nod, right?
Yeah. That's a good question. A good point.
Yeah. And he's got to be as smart as me. I mean, going to Air Force, dude.
Oh, you almost went to Air Force?
Yeah, it's not like going to Austin Community College.
My wife went to Austin Community.
Because after I got kicked out of UT, that's where I had to
go.
My
wife went to Austin Community College for 2 semesters when she was down there. I love that. In fact, she got kicked out of Southwest Texas.
To my defense, if they would have told me I would have needed a C average to stay in, a 70 average, I would have probably maybe...
Still failed, but at least knew.
Gotten closer.
Made a better attempt at it.
40 to a 65.
Windthorst went 2-0 in district as they thump Monday 62-0. Windthorst, their only loss is to Munster this year, in a game that was close early, and then Munster kind of stretched out. And Munster just, for whatever reason, the last few years, they've just kind of had Windthorst's number. That's been a new rivalry in that area.
Since Brad Green, they've had their number.
Yeah. And
Brad Green left.
What, Windthorst? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris Tackett's a great coach, but I mean, it's just,
right.
There's a reason why Brad Green won state. I mean, it's, but I'm telling you, I mean, they're getting better. Last year, they were 9-3, 13 returning starters. And I remember us talking about, in this district, their issue was going to be, who else was going to be good. Now, Archer City's 4-1, and then Electra is 5-0, but I don't know if we can trust either one of them yet against the Winthors. So, that's the only thing is Winthors, again, get bored and then they hit playoffs, but still good win for them as they go to 2-0.
All right, Groover 56, River Road 14. Groover's now 6-0. Groover's got a big one this week that we'll preview here in the next segment.
Yeah, again, hang on, having a internet blurb. We were joking about about Groover, and every time I hear that, I just for some reason think of cheese.
I think of the meteorite I have that was recovered in Groover, Texas.
Oh, is that the one you got sent to you? Or is that the one you actually...
I ordered it. I didn't find it.
Oh, no, I was just asking.
Yeah, ordered it for my guy in Alaska. How a guy in Alaska ends up with a meteorite from Groover, Texas, I don't know, but he says it's legit.
Well, I mean...
I paid my $200.
I feel like that. I mean, I feel like that would be legit because how the hell would he know what Groover, Texas is?
Well, and he's some kind of geologist from the University of Alaska in Anchorage, and he sells meteorites online. I don't know how he gets them, but pretty sure it's legit.
As we close out the review section, I will have to say, first off, this is we just talked about the two big districts. Groover is in District 1, 2A Division 2, and of course, there's only 4 teams in that. Mm-hmm. Stratford being one of them. Again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I feel like Bovina, is that how you say it? Bovina? I feel like they should be a bull or something, not a Mustang. Doesn't the Bovina bull sound
like bovine?
Yes, because that's how I pronounce it.
Like a cow.
Like a cow.
Bovina cows.
Yeah. Just a thought. All right, now let's turn our attention to week 7 of this. Oh, that's right. We don't. I forgot. I was looking for we do 2A reviews through internet. All right. So what's the first one?
All right, let's go. Miles, who's 4-1, versus Albany, who is 3-2. Pretty good game on slate right here. I kind of like Miles. I think it might be an upset, even though Albany's 3-2. Give me Miles. I know this is in Albany, but I like Miles. Albany, their 2 losses
are good. I mean, they're bad games, but they're to 2A Division 1 teams, Stanford and Holly. Yeah. When they started playing 2A Division 2 teams
down to their fighting weight,
they're destroying them until 2 weeks ago when we'll talk about Anson. Anson's a lot better this year. They outlasted Anson 27-17. This is the district opener.
And Anson has Holly this week.
Yeah,
too,
and Anson has Holly this week. We'll be talking about them.
Anson this week.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Miles in a mild upset.
They beat Sonora, Sterling City, Johnson City, and El Dorado. They lost to Arizona a couple weeks ago, 34-28. No shame in that.
It's El Dorado.
Excuse me. No shame in
George Orr is from El Dorado, Texas. I've actually went to an El Dorado game.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
They're not
That's
traditionally.
Where the sheriff was like, he knew George when we walked in. He was like, wait, hold on. He stopped us. We didn't know he knew George. He's like, you got any weapons on you? Nope. He's like, you need one?
I love that.
Yeah.
Give me Albany in this game. It's still Albany. It's still the Lions. Mm-hmm. I think when I still was concerned about them on the state level. It wasn't losing to Holly and to Stratford the way they did, or Stanford the way they did. It wasn't losing them. It was how bad they lost them, especially that Stanford game, 50-6. And then they got shut out by Holly. But again, once they started playing Division II teams, you've started seeing the Lions be their normal self.
Right.
So I'm going to go with them, but I'm like you. This is a 1-possession game.
Anything could happen in this game. What a game of the week, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I say that, but we got a bunch of other games that are just as tasty. How about Munster versus Lindsay? One of the bigger rivalries in Class 2A. Munster enters the game 2-1. Lindsay's 4-1. I believe you kind of figured out that Lindsay's having a hard time throwing the football. So if you can load up on them defensively, just stack the box, right? Then you might force Lindsay into their weakness. Munster, they're 2 losses are to Pottsboro and Holiday.
Yeah, and both of them they were in and kind of got out depth. Holiday had a weird kickoff thing, and but I want to go back to you talk about this rivalry. Munster has some of the best underrated rivalries. Like this one with Lindsay, it's the Kraut Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will admit until we started, until I started covering football and when Munster got to be really good, and even when we weren't doing 2A, you just learned about them watching them like at the state championship in 2017 when they won. And I learned about this Kraut Bowl. And this is awesome because this is one of those rivals. And again, I grew up in a blood rival. Those are intense. But my God, sometimes it's just like, okay, Jesus Christ, this is
there was no ethnicities. There was no ethics in your bowl.
Yeah, basically Longview and Marshall. I mean, we've been on YouTube and news,
but I mean, these are 2 German towns.
But they have a rivalry, but it's not friendly in the game, but it is on everything else.
Right.
These are, and it's weird because Longview, it's cousins playing cousins, but again, smaller towns. These are cousins and sometimes half brothers or brothers. One living with mom and Lindsay, and one living with dad and Munster. Maybe to get to move to be able to start.
There's a lot of broken homes. In these?
Yeah, there's a lot of broken homes. Well, it's that damn German Fest Civil War that started in Munster.
Dude, German Fest is the best, dude.
But yeah, so anyway, they just have really good rivalries, and this is a good one. And Lindsay's a good team. And by the way, you can hear the Munster show we do each and every week. I'm actually recording it tomorrow. I usually record it on Wednesdays, but I'm recording it tomorrow, and it'll be up tomorrow afternoon. That's Thursday. We're usually record this on Tuesday, but we're recording on Wednesday this week. But one thing I like about Coach Brady Carney for Munster is some coaches will tell you exactly how the district's going to lay out, and you go, okay, I've never talked to this guy. Let me see if I can trust him. And then it plays out exactly. And he's one of those. He knows and he knows. And he's said it. Look, Lindsay is athletic. They're big. They can run the ball. They just don't throw the ball. It's just not their thing. And he said when we were talking this game a couple weeks ago that's where, like you said, Munster, you load up. He said, but now it's a rivalry game. And he said, all of a sudden the quarterback starts throwing the ball truer and it's 20 yards. Rivalry games are funny. But yeah, this is going to be a good one. I think Munster wins. I think Munster eventually makes it a 2-score game. But if Lindsay's able to play keep away, and it's weird saying that about Munster because when you think of Munster, they like to play a little keep away. But if Lindsay can play keep away for Munster and limit the big plays, I think they can stay in it. But I think the lack of a true second front on the offense. And when you give Munster one thing to stop defensively, usually they can do a good job of that.
Yeah, I like Munster in this game as well. All right, how about 6-2 Groover taking on 3-2 Stratford? Give me Stratford in this, but I think it could be close.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the first district game, and when the Elks have been on our show a lot. They're 3-2, but again, a lot like Albany. When you look at it, they lose to Panhandle by 6. The Sunray game did get out of hand late, but it was still a 14-point game. I just feel that they're a little bit more battle tested, but I'm like you. I think this is going to definitely be a 1-possession game, and I have a feeling with Groover at 6-0, and they've hit the rankings.
They're probably feeling it.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
feeling it. This, and the last couple of years they've had that. Got knocked out in the second and third round, and they're feeling kind of like it's time to, what was it, 2018 when they made the state championship, I think it was, and lost. I think they feel that this is their best team since then with Brick Satterfield at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And
without a doubt.
And I don't disagree. Now, the region is so different now than when it was in 2018. But yeah, I think
it's a killer region.
It really is. I mean, when you look at Region 1, Division 2, it is up there with the Region 3, 4A Division 1s and the Region 3, 3A Division 1s. It's some of the best region. I mean, you're going to get upsets in the playoffs in the first couple rounds that really aren't upsets if you know the region. You're going to have teams with a 5-5 record, but who they've played will matter. But yeah, I still like Stratford in this game. I think it's going to be close.
All right, Hawley versus Anson. Hawley comes into this game 5-0. Anson 4-1. Hawley unscathed. Right, had a couple of really good games. The rest of them have kind of been blowouts. Give me Hawley in this one.
Yeah, give me Hawley in this one. This is the first district game for both of these teams. 4A Division 2. District 4 Division 2A. District 4, 2A, Division 1. Whew. We were talking about this when we were doing the pregame. This district is really top heavy with Holly and Stanford and Cisco and Anson. But I don't know if I really trust Anson and Cisco yet. I trust Holly and Stanford, and I trust Holly in this game. And I could see this game getting away from Hanson if Holly jumps out 21-7 or 28-7. I could see them basically grinding Anson down.
All right. Speaking of Cisco and Stanford, man, this is Stanford 5-0, Cisco 4-1. They're only lost to Clyde by 1 point.
Yes, in a great
43
game.
to 42. Cisco comes into the game with Dylan Silva with running back. The tight end, Lake Kennedy, man, 24 yards a catch on average. Stanford, Christian Duran at quarterback, Caston Vega at fullback, who averages about 115 yards a game rushing from the fullback position. This is going to be an old school slobber knocker, I think. I like Stanford in this one, but it could be a good one. It's in Stanford.
I think Stanford's going to win by like 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Oh, do you?
Again, Cisco.
Looking at the schedules, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's mainly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they lose to Clyde. That's another one of those underrated. They play each other, I think, every year to start the season, like for the last 10 years at least. They lost to them, good game, but then they beat TLC Academy out of San Angelo. Then they only beat, and I know they're a 3A, but they beat a very bad Breckenridge team by 10.
All right, yeah.
Then they beat a very down Coleman team by 11. Then they did beat the doors off of Merkel. I just think Stanford's just a better team.
Yeah,
I think Cisco has a chance to play a little bit of a dark horse in the region if the playoff, again, tough region, but if the playoffs line up well, and it could from the second place, because I don't see them winning. They might even, I say second, they'll be third because they're not going to beat Holly either.
Right. All right. Rivercrest 5-0 versus Honeygrove 5-1. That Rivercrest, that's a pretty record, but against who? It's a lot like Cisco, right?
Yeah.
Honeygrove, I know they got some injury issues, but give me Honeygrove.
I like Honeygrove in this one. And again, I think it could be by a lot. But now, to be fair, not having your starting quarterback, probably still not with Raylan Morris. I think they're trying to see if they can get through the season without him. Maybe pop him out for the Cooper game just to be safe, and then have him for the playoffs. And I know that sucks stat-wise for him, but you have to do that. I mean, it's the Jordan Whittington thing. We saw that in Cuero. They basically just redshirted his senior year to the playoffs, and then you saw what he did. And Raylan Morris is that good for Honeygrove. He doesn't do the same things, but he's that good in a region, again, that's a little down, that if you get him 100% healthy in week 10 or week 11 or week 12, counting the playoffs.
If you're Honeygrove, just make the tournament.
Make the tournament first. You don't want to make it in second, because then you get Beckville around early. And we've been talking about Beckville. You want to avoid, I know
you've got your running back, man.
Yeah, but every coach will tell you, I don't necessarily always agree. I sometimes think if you catch the top teams early, you can kind of catch them napping. But almost every coach will always say you want the hardest game at the end. Mm-hmm. And so in that region, you're going to want to play Beckville or Cooper, depending on if they were to play first in that region semifinal, and then hit Timpson or Garrison or whoever from the south. I don't think
Cooper is there yet.
I don't know.
I don't. I mean, they're way down from last year.
But again, in this region this year, I don't know if they're still that far down compared. I think everybody is taking a huge step back.
I think if Cooper and Honeygrove played right now, Honeygrove would be the favorite in that one.
Oh, I think so too.
Okay. Wascom and Beckville, tasty matchup.
As we were talking.
Wascom 4-2, Beckville obviously 6-0, man. Wascom's 2 losses were to Garrison 21-20 and Shelbyville 54-48. But can this Wascom defense handle Jordan Price?
No.
Price averages. Listen to this average. Jordan Price averages 183 yards, or about 183 yards a game rushing.
Yeah.
How do you stop that? They got 2 big play receivers out wide.
Yep.
I mean, that's just a nightmare matchup.
You just hope you hold him to 120.
Yeah. I mean, and hope you get a turnover.
Hope you get a turnover. Hope you get a special teams play. Now, in saying that, I don't think Beckville's a big, wide favorite. I think they're a favorite.
I think they're a favorite. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that Wascom's a bigger roster, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Wascom can hang in there for 4 quarters, but I just don't know how you can just maintain shutting down Price.
Yeah, again, you don't. I mean, these running backs, when there's that special, they have 200 yards and losses. That's how good they are.
Right. Yes.
I think one thing though, I think Wade Lawson has brought that Wascom attitude that was there during the Whitney Keeling era. They're very physical. They're very fast. This is one of those games. Even if he has 300 yards, he's going to remember playing Wascom. He's not going to be running untouched. Now watch him run like 7 touchdowns untouched, but he's not going to run
your Gilmer moment.
Yeah, my Gilmer moment.
I will lavish that.
By the way, I do want to point out on a little side spin, you were talking a little bit about Shelbyville beat Wascom. Shelbyville over in 11 2A Division I. Again, that Timpson district, they're sitting at 4-1 right now, and their only loss is to Mount Enterprise, who Mount Enterprise is having their once every 8-year really good start. But talking about that region, Shelbyville's a team I think feels like they could be a dark horse in Region 3.
Yeah.
They returned everybody back from last year's 6-5 team, and they have been locked at 6. This is their last few years: 6-5, 6-5, 7-4, 6-5, 7-4, 5-6. I think they feel like this is the year they might make a run. And again, as top heavy as Region 3,
quite a few juniors on that Shelbyville team too.
Yes, they're young and experienced because they've been letting these guys play. DJ Barnes at quarterback, they've been just letting them play since like their sophomore and freshman year. And again, as top heavy as Region 3 Division I was last year, it's just a minefield of a lot of really solid teams. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success in that Region 3, Region 4 matchup. But anyway, any other games?
Thorndale 4-1 versus Mason 4-1. This is a fun one, man. Look, Mason's only loss was to Wall 28-6. Thorndale has a really good running back, Noah Crabtree. Their quarterback Gunnar Ferguson's really good. Jaden Clausen at receiver. But I just think that Mason running game is just too tough to beat. Give me Mason. I think this is at Mason in the Puncher Dome, or the refurbished Puncher Dome, by the way.
Puncher Dome.
But yeah, give me Mason in this one, but I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah, they both lost their first game of the year, and they both have been on a winning streak since then. Man, it feels like, and this is just luck of draw, and it's probably no different than normal, but it feels like so many of these districts in 2A, 3A, and 4A are all starting off with the 2 top teams playing in the first week.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually kind of like that because I know we all love the whole Week 10 thing, and yes, seeding still matters. But if you're in that middle of that Week 10 game, and like we talk about Raylan Moritz, you got a running back and he gets a little gimpy, you're pulling him. You've already made the playoffs. You might get the 2nd seed, but hey, we'll figure that out when we get to next week. If you play them in that first week, you can't do that. And so I think it might make it better in these district matchups when you get the top 2 teams. And these are I know Holland's there, but I feel like Mason and Thorndale, I guess Holland's probably they're a toss up with Thorndale, but I think Mason wins going away. I don't think Mason gets challenged in this district.
Yeah, I don't either.
Is that it?
That's it.
Wow. That's one of our longest shows of 2A. We're starting to find our feet in 2A. It's only taking,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I still think we've got some more 2A games to attend. We've only been to a few, but we do watch some online, going back and watching them. But possibly Sunray and Panhandle in 2 weeks. That'll be a fun one. If you're from Sunray or Panhandle, look for us on the sideline there, and we'd love to meet you. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Week 7. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, you can email the show, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. If you're listening, you can find us on YouTube at the video version at L4 Media Company. Just go to youtube.com/at L4 Media Company. If you're watching the video and sometimes you're like, hey, I really wish I could just listen to the audio because Grant's ugly or I'm busy, all you got to do is go to s2sgrantandterry.com.
Like Magnum PI.
Or we're on all podcast platforms as well. So you have 2 ways to, or really multiple, but you have 2 different versions to watch if you would like to do that. Until next week.
You can also watch this on ABC, ESPN, NBC, sometimes, Peacock all the time, and Fox Sports Southwest. Completely.
Did the guy that named that bird, was he literally standing there peeing? And somebody's like, what's that bird called? He's looking around. Peacock. Okay, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's
Anyway, until next time.
yes, it's great. Man.
Hey,
That was funny.
hey, how many yards did that Brenham running back have against?
Oh,
I'm
133 yards on
daggers.
38 carries.
Hey, there was a time that would be considered good. Anyway, until next week, he's Greg Goodwin. I'm Terry Bennett. This has been Sideline to Sideline, the 2A edition, right here on L.